Thanksgiving week was always a special week. It always reminded me of a couple things. Number one, it's when the football season goes into full throttle. It's like you throw it into the ultimate gear from now until the Super Bowl. When you count everything, you count in the fact that people tune in for the first time to see a college game, like Ohio State, Michigan, as an example. And then the bowl games come their way. There's games on every day. You have the three big games that America watches on Thursday. No matter where you are, you're somewhere, and hopefully you're somewhere. You know, there's certain days you got to be somewhere. So, you know, you're hopefully somewhere with family and friends, and you're watching some football, as everyone does. And, you know, you're having a nice meal, which everyone usually does in the middle of the day. Usually everyone's eaten by the time the Cowboys have played. In most places, usually you've eaten by the time. Cowboy game starts about 20 to 5. By the time that comes around, you've probably already eaten. Most people have. And because you eat early. And then you're on the couch for the 8:30 game, just taking it easy. Or you're sitting in your chair for the 8:30 game. And that's kind of everybody's day. I mean, you know, it starts with the parade or church or whatever, and then you can take it from there. So, I mean, that's kind of how it goes. Number two, the first show I ever hosted during the week was Thanksgiving of 1987. I had started on the weekends, and I had done some weekend shows. I had been on every weekend. First I was on Sundays, then I was on Saturday and Sundays, and I had hosted shows on the weekends. But I had not yet hosted a weekday show, and they asked me to sit in for Pete on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Friday. So that was the first time I was into the time period that I was going to call home for the next 30 years, not knowing it at the time, on that first Thanksgiving. Now, that was before we had the TV. That was before we had the football packages. So we were up against the football packages. And Thanksgiving, if you're just starting out and you haven't done shows before, your first show should not be Thanksgiving afternoon, because there's a lull. You got the games on and everyone's busy, so you get a real lull in the action. And you can actually have a couple of minutes where the calls are few and far between if you don't have a lot of guests lined up. So you spend a lot of time talking on that Thanksgiving, because, you know, it's your first go-round, first day. And when I went home the first day, I said, you know, I want to do this for a long time. I didn't think I did very well. And I was all bummed out. And I said, if I don't do better tomorrow, I'm not going to do it anymore. I went back the next day, and things went really well, and that's the way it went. But I really was bummed out after that first day, because I didn't have a lot of guests. The calls were kind of in and out. I just didn't think I did very well. First time I had done it, and I said, boy, you know I could do better than that. If I don't do a lot better tomorrow, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then I went the next day, and I felt it went really well, and then I really didn't have a show again. I mean, the next thing you know, I was filling in for this guy, filling in for that guy, filling in for Pete for 2 weeks at a time, filling in for Lampley, filling in for Spencer Ross, filling in for everybody. And then I got the show with Eddie, which only lasted together a couple of months before they had me filling in for Pete months at a time. And then before you knew it, it was the idea of Mike and the Mad Dog, and away we went. So, but it all started on a Thanksgiving day in 1987, the first fan, and that was the first Thanksgiving. So whenever I think of Thanksgiving on the radio, I always think of that first day, which was special for me, because it's how everything started as far as hosting drive time shows. That was my first one ever, was that day on the Fan. Joe, no